Hi, this is Vicki with Crafting for Fun. Today I want to show you how I made this cute card in a box. This is a new project for me. It's something I learned how to do yesterday. I looked on the internet and saw lots and lots of blogs featuring this hot new card idea. And the fun thing about this is it can fold completely flat like a traditional card. But then when you pop it up and fold the little flaps down, it's a cool card in a box, and it can stand all by itself. Now if you're looking from the top down, you will notice that there are some little baffles that run from side to side in the card, and the purpose of those is not only to support the shape of the card, but also to give you somewhere to attach decorative elements for your card. So for this card I used some leftover designer paper from a Christmas stack that I had, and I used a sentiment from the Tags for You stamp set by Stampin' Up, and then some different elements that I stamped and punched out using the Sensational Season stamp set and the coordinating framelits. But what I want to show you is how to construct the guts of this box, because how you decorate this box is entirely up to you. This card in a box idea can be decorated for any occasion. I've seen them for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, get well, just all kinds of themes and occasions. So really cute new spin on a card. So let me gather my supplies and I will show you how to make the basic card in a box, and then you can show me how you've decorated yours. Just link back to my blog and show me exactly what you've done with the card in a box idea. I'll be back in just a moment to show you how to put this card together. To create a card in a box, you'll need a couple of cardstock items. You'll need a base color of cardstock for your card in a box that measures 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 inches. So 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. You'll need a piece of designer paper that measures 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, and you're going to be cutting that into 3 pieces. You'll need a piece of cardstock, preferably the same color as your base cardstock, that measures 3 by 3. I have chosen to use a contrasting color today so that you can see exactly what I'm doing with when I create the baffles inside of my box. And then you'll need a piece of cardstock that is the same as the base color for your designer paper, and this piece measures 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and since mine has a white background, I'm using white paper. So let me show you how we make this card. Oh, in addition to the cardstock items, you'll also need a good pair of scissors, a bone folder, and some way to score your cardstock. And then you'll need some adhesive. And then of course you'll need whatever decorative elements you decide to decorate your card with. So with my 8 1/2 inch side at the top, I'm going to score at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. Then I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to score at 2 1/2 inches. Now I'm entirely through scoring this piece, but I'm going to bring back the 3 by 3 piece. And again, I would use one that is the same color as my base cardstock if I were making a real card. And I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch and 2 1/2 inches. And I just kind of went wonky there, but that isn't even going to matter. So now I'm finished with my scoring tool, and I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to bring out my paper trimmer. I'm going to take my 3 by 3 piece, and with my score lines running horizontal to me, when I'm looking at it, they're horizontal, I'm going to lay that down on the paper cutter, and I'm going to cut this piece in half. So I have 2 pieces that are 1 1/2 inch with a score line at both ends. Now, I'm going to go ahead and score these, fold these score lines really well. You can use your bone folder to reinforce them. And like I said, these are going to create the baffles inside of our card. So now, when they're oriented inside of your card, you will have one flap that is folded up, and the opposite flap is going to be folded down. So one flap up, the opposite down. I'm going to do the same thing here. One flap up, the opposite flap folded down. And now I'm going to go ahead and apply adhesive to those. I'm using score tape, because anytime I construct anything, any kind of a box, I try to use a really strong adhesive so that I don't have any problems with things coming apart. So just a little piece of score tape on each of the flaps, or red line sticky tape, or whatever strong tape you There we go. So all of my adhesive is in place on that. I'm going to set those little tabs aside. Now I'm going to bring back my base cardstock. Now you'll notice that you have sections that are 3 inches long and sections that are only 2 1/2 inches long. We're going to work with the sections that are 3 inches, or I'm sorry, we're going to work with the sections that are 2 1/2 inches long. So with those sections facing closest to us, we're going to do a little trimming. I was just checking here to make sure. Yep, that's correct. Okay, so this is my long side facing me with my 2 1/2 inch sections there. I'm going to trim up along every one of my score lines to that 2 1/2 inch score line. This is a really quick project to put together. And when I get to the end, I'm going to trim up to that 2 1/2 inch score line, and I'm going to just trim this little 1/2 inch section on the end off. But I'm going to leave the one at the top in place. The only thing I'm going to do there is I'm going to cut the corners at an angle on that little 1/2 inch flap, because that is actually going to be my glue tab. So I'm going to lay it down with my little flaps at the top and my glue tab here, and I'm going to turn my glue tab back, and I'm going to score that and put adhesive on my glue tab. So again, I am using score tape. There we go. Okay, so I want to go ahead and fold my score lines, all of my vertical score lines, but I don't want to fold any of these horizontal score lines. So I'm going to fold my vertical score line and burnish. I'm going to fold my next one and burnish. And I'm going to do the one at the very end and burnish with my bone folder. Okay, so I have something that looks like that. Now I'm ready to take my piece of designer paper, and I want to create panels of designer paper that go on these little flaps. So I need to bring out my paper trimmer, and this piece is 5 1/4 inches long and 2 1/2 inches wide, and I want to cut it into 1 3/4 inch wide sections. So 1 3/4 by 2 1/4 is what I'll end up with. So I have 1, 2, and they should all be the same. Yes, they are. Okay. So now I'm going to bring back my project, and I'm going to apply adhesive to the back, to the back side of these little pieces, and I'm going to secure them in place to to 3 of my sections. And I'm going to begin with the one nearest my glue tab, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, but I'm going to leave the one on the opposite end. It's not going to have a piece on it. So, and these are my decorative flaps that will fold down on my card in a box. Okay, so those pieces are in place. Now I'm ready to bring back my little baffles. And again, I did these in a color that would be easy to see for you, a contrasting color. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to peel the adhesive off. Now I want to work, I'm going to peel the adhesive off both ends actually. I want to work with this one with the flap that flips up. I want the flap that flips up to be on my left hand side. And I'm going to go over here to my last section, and I'm going to go about 1/4 inch down from my horizontal score line, so about 1/4 inch down, and right next to my score line here. And I'm going to apply my flap. And it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect, so you don't have to measure that exactly or anything. So that is there, and my little end section is flipped up and it has adhesive on it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove adhesive from my second piece. And with my little flap that flips, it's going that way and it flips down, I'm going to go right next to my other piece. I'm going to leave about a 1/16 of an inch space, and I hope you can see that. So about a 1/16 of an inch space, and it's about 1/4 of an inch down from this horizontal score line, and I'm going to put that down. So you see my flaps just line up right next to each other. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the liner from the end of my piece, and I'm going to fold this in half like a book or like a standard card with all of my flaps down, including my end flap, my one with all of my flaps with tapes on it. I'm going to fold this down and just burnish it together, and watch what happens when I pick my box up and open it up. Do you see the baffles on the inside that run across the width of the box? So now I'm ready to go ahead and take these end flaps and just fold them down, because those will be the sides of my box that I decorate or that are open, and the back of my box is undecorated. Now, I have one piece left that I've not used. This is my 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to apply that to this back section, and it does a couple of things. First of all, it hides that little glue tab that I put in place. Secondly, it gives me a backdrop that I can apply other decorative elements to. And thirdly, it provides support, because I have a score line here that I didn't fold down, and I don't want to fold down. I want that to stay upright. So this is going to provide a little added strength for that. So I'm just putting some tape adhesive on there, and I'm going to go right inside my box. And this is a little fiddly. And I'm going to just apply that panel in place and press it down. And there you go. Your card in a box is ready to be decorated. It can fold down completely flat. This is the same size as a standard A2 card, so it can go in a box for mailing or shipping or for storage. And then you just open it up, put those little flaps down, and decorate it however you want. So again, here's my decorated box, and here's my undecorated card in a box. And so the possibilities are really endless. If you have any questions about today's project, please email me at craftingforfun@gmail.com, or you can check out my blog, craftingforfun.blogspot.com, for additional craft ideas. I hope you enjoyed today's project. Thank you.